Welcome to Who Wrote That Up for You, a daily podcast that shines a light on the American justice system and its role in empowering the powerful to take from you. The justice system is the only branch of your government where an individual, rather than the collective, can make the system act for you. It puts power in the individual's hands, but it's broken and being used against you at a time when you need it most.
And welcome to season 3 of Who Wrote That Up for You. I am Sonia Ebron, co-founder at Courtroom 5.
And I am Deborah Sloan, the other co-founder at Courtroom 5.
Delightful show lined up for you today. In a few moments, we're going to speak with Pam Gwin Sheppard. She's been a court reporter in Texas for about 30 years now and has seen the tremendous changes in that profession. We're going to talk with her about some of those changes and just the joys of court reporting today. Before we get there, Deborah, what's on your mind?
Well, what else besides this lawyer who referred to ChatGPT to write a motion? and, and he ended up citing non-existent legal authorities, pissing off the judge. The judge asked him to, okay, can you give us some idea of where these authorities are located, or can you at least tell us that these are verified, basically verified authorities? And he's like, okay, let me do that. And then he goes back to ChatGPT, doesn't check the authorities, does the same thing, comes back with some phony authorities. And now the judge is really pissed, and he's gonna this week, I think, make some type of decision about it. That happened in New York, and it's just, to me, it just highlights the not just the dangers of ChatGPT, but the dangers of not checking your stuff. I mean, how can you not look at the citations on a motion that you're writing for federal court? Anyway, it's to me just a cautionary tale, and I hope in the end that this lawyer learned a great lesson and will be okay. But that's a hard one.
It's not going to be hard for the judge. I think it's a really, really. I really empathize with that judge, and there's been such noise made about the potential of this iteration of artificial intelligence, and I think it is going to be somewhat disruptive in the legal field. But folks, still, it's a tool, right? That's all it is. I mean, you don't let hammers bang nails anywhere they want to. You have to have some human control of them, and likewise with any technology we build, there has to be some control, some some checking there. So anyway, that's going to be exciting. I think I recall briefly seeing some other judges, maybe in a different circuit, issuing administrative orders that all motions now, that use Chat GPT have to include a verification that the authorities are legit. I mean, that's a shame. You wouldn't think you'd have to do that, but this is the times we live in. Fantastic. We'll continue to look at that story, and I'm sure there will be some others, unfortunately. So that's great. Well, at Courtroom 5, we believe the courts belong to the people, in particular to the people who use them. And we, the people, are coming to claim our courts. So if you are in court without a lawyer, or you need to sue someone and can't find a lawyer to represent you, get yourself over to courtroom5.com, give it a try, and see if we can be of service to you there. At this time, I am excited to welcome to the show Pam Gwin Sheppard, just a very esteemed court reporter of long tenure there in now Harris County, Texas. And I won't embarrass you, but I love court reporters. I am a huge fan of the entire profession. We have seen, Deborah and I, and just in general, watching the activities of pro se litigants over the years, there seems to be a huge difference when a court reporter is present as opposed to when they're not. And I know you all are just doing your jobs, but the value of this service is extraordinary. We've written about it many times, so I'll just refer people to our blogs. I won't spend a whole lot of times there, but I can just count a number of times where you all have saved my butt. I know Deborah has the same number of stories. And so just first off, thank you for what you do as a court reporter there.
Thank you.
Fantastic. So now, Pam, you've been, let me just ask you to give us your background. How'd you get into court reporting? What's it been like? What do you do? Just take the floor.
Okay, sure. So I've been a court reporter since 1994. I originally was a musician, and I remember my typing teacher in high school was like, "You should become a court reporter." And as you know, musicians make no money unless you're like rich and famous. So I was like, okay, let me try court reporting school. And so I decided to do that. I was in my late 20s. So I was in my early 30s when I started reporting. It's changed a lot. There is a shortage across the U.S., well, across the world, really. But I absolutely love my job. I can't even imagine doing anything else. People always ask me, well, don't you want to be a lawyer? Excuse me, no. I like to be that fly on the wall, listening and not having to get involved in the drama. It's just more fun that way. But I absolutely love reporting. I was a freelancer for, I think 24 years. And then a friend of mine went to jury duty and found out there was a court that needed a reporter. They didn't have anybody. And they said, we see you're a reporter. And she's like, I am not interested, but I know someone. And so she said, give me your resume. And at the time I was just exhausted and I worked 24/7 for so long. And I was like, I need to do something different. And she got my resume from me, gave it, and I was hired. So I became an official in January of 2019. I switched courts about 10 months later, and I've been happily in county criminal court since November of 2019. Love it.
Yeah. It's such an important role.
Thank
It
you
is such
so
an
much.
important role. Well, let's talk about that role then.
Sure.
So everybody knows there's there's a judge, there's going to be lawyers maybe, and maybe not. There may be a jury at some point. There's clerks of court, right? There are people. What is the role of a court reporter in that setting?
So the court reporter, we're to take down, and it also depends on your judge, but we're to take down hearings, trials, motions to suppress, anything that could come into our court that either the attorney wants a record, the defense attorney, the DAs, the judge, anything they want a record of. We typically take, in my court, take records of sovereign citizens, pro se's, and then anybody can come to my office and say, hey, I want a record of this hearing coming up, because maybe the attorney is having a conflict with their client, or it could be any number of reasons, and they will come and let me know they need a record. And I usually set up every day in my office. Since we've had Zoom, going on for a while, my court still uses Zoom. It's kind of amazing. I kind of love it because I can sit in my office and I have everything ready to go. I kind of run the Zoom from my courtroom until my judge gets there, letting people in and out and asking them what they need and kind of facilitating things like that. And it's just great because I can sit in my office. I can hear everyone very clearly if they're on Zoom, and I can take down, a 2-minute hearing, something very quick. Now, trials, I'm definitely in the courtroom. Most of our trials are with a jury. We have had recently one bench trial that I actually missed because I was on vacation and I had a friend sub. I was the first bench trial. I was like, I missed the first bench trial in my court that I haven't done. But it's so much fun because you have this panel of 36 people that come in our county courts, usually 30 to 36, typically 36. And they do voir dire, which is the examination of the jury panel. They pick 6 every once in a while. During COVID, we were picking 7, so we would have a backup in case someone got sick. And, I just basically take down everything that's said in the courtroom during that procedure. And sometimes they will do motions to suppress or other types of hearings, motions to quash, those kinds of things, like right at the beginning after they've picked the jury. Or it could be dispositive where it's over with and we don't actually need the jury at that point. There's just so many variables that can happen. But I'm writing everything that's being said. And I know I saw one of your interviews that you did was of an interpreter, and I was listening to what he said. And, and it is correct that we only take down English because I don't speak Spanish. So if we have, and we're used to, we have every kind of language imaginable. So we have even ASL, we have just all kinds of things going on where we need different interpreters. And so I'm only listening to the English. So it's very important that our interpreters are saying everything, repeating everything that person is saying, because I'm blocking out that person because I'm listening to the interpreter. And also I had a juror mention this to me the other day. When I went in to speak to them after trying to promote court reporting after the trial was over. And I went in to talk to them, and she's like, "You write with your eyes closed?" And I was like, "Yes, I do." And she's like, "Well, why did you do that?" I said, "Because actually you were staring at me." It was the person that was staring at me. I said, "You were staring at me." And I said, "So it distracts me. So I write with my eyes closed. And in my mind, I'm at the beach with the words floating across my head. And that keeps me focused on what I'm doing so that I can get every word during that trial."
You have got to have an intimate relationship with that machine in order to do that. That is extraordinary. Now, you mentioned the record. And so just to clarify, what you create with that machine, what you type in is the record of that proceeding. Is that right?
That's correct. It is the record. And I am a steno reporter, so I have the little machine. We do in Texas have voice writers also that have the masks that are speaking in and also writing to a computer, the same as I am. We are both licensed in the state of Texas. We have to go through rigorous training and lots of terminology classes, procedures classes, all those kinds of things. And we have to be licensed in my state. So you have to take an exam for, it's a multiple choice when it's like English words, punctuation, the legality, all the rules that we have to follow. There's just a whole lot of things. And we in Texas have a uniform format manual. So all of our transcripts have to look the same. We have it has to be this many characters from the left side of the box and this many characters from the right side of the box and so many lines per page. It's very restricted so that we're all on the same page and we're not price gouging. So we have rules we have to follow, and I'm just completing everything that they're saying. I'm putting down on the record, and then I only transcribe if someone asks for the record. So if an attorney says, "I need this for an appeal," or maybe they just want it because it was their first case. We have a lot of newbies. Our DAs, a lot of the times they're brand new attorneys, and so they'll want either maybe they want it for a coffee table book or something, they want us to transcribe it. So of course we will do that if they ask us to do that. And of course they pay for that. We, we're on a salary as an official, and then we get paid pages for people that want the transcripts. And we have indigent rates for people that are declared indigent. We charge a certain amount to the county. And if they're not indigent, we have a rate for that too. So that's all dependent.
So you can get a hearing trial transcribed for free, but if you actually want the transcript itself, the paper copy or electronic copy, you pay per page for that, or how does that work?
Ma'am. It's a per page. It's a per page, and some hearings are really short. It could be 10 pages. Some hearings could be 150 pages or longer, and then of course trial. That's all dependent on how many days the trial goes, how fast you're talking. And, there's so many variables to that as to how long it could be.
Absolutely. And so you mentioned a number of reasons why somebody might want that transcript. Appeal, just for sentimental reasons, and so forth. Let's talk about the use of those transcripts in appeals. What's the role there? Why would you need a transcript to have an effective appeal?
Correct. Well, sometimes the board wants to see everything that was talked about during that, and maybe there's a specific rule of law, something specific. It could be anything that they're wanting to take up, and they want the Court of Appeals to see. And so we do those transcripts. They pay us to do the transcripts. We upload it to the Court of Appeals along with the exhibit so that they have that to look at, to read, to see what it is. And it's really important that we're accurate We take a lot of courses to make sure we're accurate. We also have continuing education like attorneys do. We have to, in Texas at least, and I know other states are different, but we have to take 10 continuing education hours every 2 years, of which 2.5 hours are ethics. So we do have to do ethics, and there's a lot of things that we have to follow. And I think it's important what we do. And I'm going to tell you, and y'all may have run into this, but we're having a little bit of issue with digitals in our state. And for those that don't know, in Texas, digitals are not legal. Our rules specifically state that voice writers and steno writers and pen writers, because I think we still have one pen writer that's up there in age, but is still a pen writer. Those are the only legal methods in our state. I believe California is the same. Then there are other states that do allow digitals. Florida allows digitals, but they are not allowed in our state. And COVID created an issue because people think that because it's on Zoom, anybody can take anything they want to and cross state lines. That is not the case. If it's a Texas case, it needs to be a Texas reporter taking that case, unless the witness is in that state. Then it can be a reporter from that state with the witness, not on Zoom, with the witness.
Wow. That is interesting. And so I want to get back to the digital thing in just a moment, but in your county, in Harris County there, it's particularly in criminal court, a court reporter is mandated for most hearings. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
For the most part, it is mandated. And like our courts, we have 16 county criminal courts, and there is a court reporter for each court. And of course, sometimes we help out. This past couple of years, we've had an emergency docket to try to get everything caught up because of COVID. So we rotate, the 16 of us rotate into the emergency. It's called the ERD. We rotate in there once every 15 weeks. We rotate for a week to take trials in that court. But other than that, we're in our own courts taking our own things. And then if somebody needs help, something's going on, we try to fill in for each other.
Mm-hmm. And so in criminal court, it's mandated. Are they also mandated in civil proceedings there in Harris County?
We do have a few courts, unfortunately, that have digitals for varying reasons. Some because there is a shortage of court reporters. For those that don't know, there's a massive shortage across the U.S. and in other countries. There's just a big shortage. And so we have been trying to, also for those that don't know, there's a program called the A to Z program. And it's put on by the National Court Reporters Association, and then other state associations kind of pick it up. In Harris County, a bunch of our reporters get together and do these A to Z programs. They're 6-week programs, and we try to find use machines for people to use that are interested in court reporting, so they can come for 6 weeks once a week, and they learn the basics of the machine. And it lets them see if they have an aptitude for the machine and it's something they enjoy doing. Then we help them get into school. It's sort of to help them before they're going to spend money. And it's a really great program. And a lot of officials in Harris County get together and do this at one of the colleges near downtown, University of Houston downtown. They'll get together and do that. I think there's one going on right now that's just about finished up the 6 weeks. And we'll do that periodically. And then there's the online. And for those that don't have a machine, there's a $20 program they can buy and put on their iPad, and it mimics a steno machine. And they can do that to basically learn and see if it's something they want to do, so we can get people in school and get them out.
That's great. That is fantastic. And so you were, I know, a freelance court reporter for many years before you became dedicated to your current role. Yes. What is the opportunity for freelance reporters these days?
Lots of opportunity. There's still a shortage. I belong to several job boards where on Facebook and on Google, where I get emails all the time for companies that are looking for reporters to cover a job. They're like, I'm desperate. I've got a 10 o'clock and I don't have coverage. Is anybody available? So I get those a lot. We all do. We're trying to keep people covered and make sure that if they want a court reporter, they have a court reporter. Everything's getting done. But there is a huge need, and people can come out of school and immediately have work. And, like I told the jurors last week when I went in and talked to them about reporting, I'm like, if you've got a child graduating right now, this is the perfect, and they like to text and they're good at it, send them to me. I'm the girl they want to talk to. I'll help them get into school. I just had 3 actually last week, And I sent them on like, okay, NCRA starts up Monday. Let's get you in, so we can get you out there and
That's
like
fantastic.
this, because we do need reporters, and it's an amazing profession. This is one of the few professions you can come right out of school and walk into a 6-figure salary.
That's fantastic. That's extraordinary, and great professional mentoring that you do there as well. So I want to then just chat briefly about the digital issue. We talked at the beginning. You may have heard Deborah and I talking about that Chat GPT case.
Right.
Is there a concern that Chat GPT or these AI technologies will fill the gap, so to speak, given that there are so few court reporters?
It's happening in a lot of states. It is happening. It's happening illegally in our state. We've managed to run a few of them out of the state because reporters work together. We helped Indiana. Everybody across the nation, they were having a big issue with that, and we all wrote to that county that was trying to replace them and do digitals, and we stopped it for now. So it's a matter of all of us working together. This is a very niche industry, and a lot of us know each other, or we meet on chat rooms, or we have the same ideals, and we work together to try to solve issues in the court reporting profession. We have another group out of California called Protect Your Record Project that's on Facebook, and we all get on there and see what's happening in California, because it either happens in Texas or California. That's kind of the two where things happen, and we try to work together to solve issues and mentor people as they're coming up out of school. We do a lot of that. I have a lot of, when I stopped freelancing, people are a little amazed by this, but most people work for 2-3 companies. But I've been a seminar presenter since 2011, and I've met a lot of people through doing those seminars. And when I stopped doing freelance, I was actually working for 48 companies as an independent reporter. And so people are like, oh my God, how do you keep up with that? Well, it's just, I love my job, and it's hard to say no when there's a shortage.
Yeah.
And it's hard because you get behind, they want things out this quick, and sometimes you can't do that. You're like, I'm independent. I work for 48 people. I've got 40 jobs sitting here I'm trying to get out. And then you try to take off, and everybody's calling you, but I need you. I don't have anybody else for this job. And it gets rough sometimes. It really does. And it's really difficult to find people to work with you. We use scopists and proofreaders, and it's very difficult to find qualified scopists. People take these little quick courses online and think, I'm a scopist. Yeah, that doesn't work that way. You've got to know your English. You've got to work on deadlines, and you're working with people who are slammed to the wall and they need your help, and you can't suddenly say, oh, well, I have to take my dog to the vet. Well, didn't you know that when you accepted the job? That kind of thing. And it's difficult. It can be very difficult.
That's extraordinary. And so, with the tenure that you've had in the profession, I'm sure you've seen a lot of change technologically and in many other ways. If I asked you to put on your crystal ball for just a second, what do you see 10, 20 years out in the profession? Is AI going to have a bigger footprint, or are there going to be more humans involved in this profession?
I think in certain situations, digital may be okay, but I want people to think about something. What's happening now with the digital in a lot of situations, there is a person who is untrained. They say they're trained. They get about 10 hours of training. They turn on a tape recorder. We call them button pushers. And they have microphones out there, and they're taking down testimony, calling themselves a court reporter, which is insulting to us because most of us have had years of training, years of continuing education that they don't take. We're trained listeners. That's what we do. We're trained to get the testimony. We are trained to interrupt when we're not getting the testimony. We are trained when to interrupt, when not to interrupt, how to interrupt. There are so many different things that we are trained to do that somebody pushing a button has no idea, yet they're calling themselves a court reporter. So I don't see things changing too much because there needs to be that human element. We are that human element. Without us, yes, you're recording all these things, but everybody's talking over each other. In the normal situation of a deposition court, any of those situations, You could have 3, 4, 5 people all speaking at the same time. So which voice you're going to get? For me, that's what when I'm working with my DAs that are new, my first thing I say to them is, do not ask open-ended questions in your voir dire. And they look at me like, why? I'm like, which voice do you want me to get? There are 36 people and you out there. I'm one person with 2 hands writing one person. Which one do you want me to get? And they're like, oh, I never thought of it that way. So basically, if you don't have a human there, which voice you're going to get?
Yeah.
And what if that little thing, that little bitty thing right there was key to your patent litigation or key to your divorce case, and it was talked over and you didn't get that?
Yeah.
I'm not there to stop it.
Yep.
The human factor is not there to stop it. So that is very concerning to me with these digitals coming out. And, you know, there may be some little car wreck things that they can do. There may be some other stuff they can do. But, and not only that, but what a lot of people don't realize is we have HIPAA certifications. We have to store our testimony, our notes. We have to lock things up. They have to be in a fireproof safe. There are things that we have to follow. All right, but what are these digitals doing? They don't have any of that training. They don't know they're supposed to do these things. And they're shipping these tapes off out of the country to India, Taiwan. They're not familiar with our languages here. So many times you get things back that make absolutely no sense, because people here, we have all these dialects. You know, and you're in India or somewhere, you don't have those dialects. You know, you're not hearing that all the time. You're not a trained listener. So you've got unintelligible, inaudibles all through this. What good is that doing anyone?
Yeah.
It's very concerning to me and to other court reporters. It's very concerning.
I'll bet that's a huge issue. So last question. I know you wrote a book a while ago about court reporting. I believe it's called Transition from Student to Court Reporter, under your maiden name, Pam Gwin Coder, as I recall. Tell us about the book and where can you find it? Sure.
It's Transitioning from Student to Professional Court Reporter. It's available on Amazon. It's available on Barnes and Noble. I wrote it because I was mentoring at the time. I started mentoring in 2003. And a lot of my students were like, I had this huge notebook I was carrying around every time I worked with a student. And they're like, oh my God, you should write a book because you have this huge notebook. And I had gone to a seminar, a real-time seminar. And real time is where I'm writing, it's going into my computer and things are coming out in English, and attorneys or judges or whoever are connected to my computer and seeing what I'm seeing at the same time. So I had gone to a seminar for that and I was working on my real time back in like 2007 or 2008. And the presenter of that seminar was Anita Paul, who has since deceased. She was an amazing mentor. And somebody there said something to me. They turned around. I don't know. I was the only one on a specific software, but people kept turning around and asking me, I don't understand what she's saying. And I'm like, oh, well, just do this, you know? And so she like was shushing us because people were turning around and asking me questions. So at the break, she came over to talk to me and she's like, you need to write a book. And I'm like, what? You know, like, you know, what are you talking about? And she said, all these people are asking you questions and they're understanding you and not me, and you should write a book. And so I was like, okay. I said, I'm actually working on one, but you know, I'm busy and whatever. And so when that seminar was over, she started calling me every day and saying, have you done the book yet? Have you done the book yet? So I finally said, okay. And I sat down on one weekend for 18 hours straight and wrote the book. And had her read it. She did the foreword to my book along with one of my client attorneys. And it was just a lot of fun. And I just kind of put everything in there that I had learned as a reporter transitioning and all the things I would want to know if I was a reporter transitioning. And now it's used as a textbook in a lot of court reporting schools.
That's extraordinary. Yes. Fantastic. And again, you can find that on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, find bookstores everywhere. Pam, thank you so much for this. Where can people find you online if they want to reach out?
I'm on Facebook, Pam. It's still under Pam Gwin Coder. people can call me. I mean, my cell phone is out there, 713-515-2583. People call me all the time for help. I'm here if you have questions, if you need me to talk about something, or you need to talk about something you're having problems with. I'm there to help you. That's what I do.
We're so grateful for your profession and for you and for being in the profession for such a long time. Thank you for sharing all that knowledge
Thank
with
you
us
for
and
having
our
me.
views. Fantastic. We'll be in touch. Thank you so much, Pam.
Thanks so much.
Right.
Just
Wow.
extraordinary. That
Wow.
is fantastic. I know I went way over
Yeah.
Deborah on that, and just really enjoyed that conversation, but I couldn't cut that short.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
fantastic. Okay, well, do you have some more to share with us? You want to take us home?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and do a quick quiz here. Okay. Question is, what is the role of a judge in a trial?
I couldn't tell you. I don't know why they're even there, right?
Oh. The role of the judge, the role of the judge, in my opinion, is to ensure that the proceedings are conducted fairly and in accordance with the law. They can make decisions about legal matters, and they interpret the law, et cetera, and they instruct the jury. They pretty much keep order. And I'm of the mind that one of the most important roles of the judge is to stay neutral and not take one side or the other. So that is it.
That is fantastic. We've seen some good ones and some bad ones over the years. And
Mm-hmm.
I recently I watched the Alex Murdoch murder trial in
Oh.
South Carolina, and just was, I mean, it was eye candy for me. I couldn't resist it. But the judge in that case was just extraordinary. One of the best I've seen in a long time. And he knew at the beginning of the case, I'm sure, and he indicated so during sentencing, that the man was guilty as all hell. There's no defense in this case, but you couldn't tell that at all during the progress of that trial. He showed his cards at the end. He sentenced him, I think, to two life sentences. But yeah, you could not tell. He gave no indication whatsoever. It was very balanced throughout the course of that trial, and that is what you look for in a judge. So
Absolutely.
that's
Absolutely.
fantastic. All right. Well, that's all we have for you today. Thanks so much for joining us at this beginning of season 3. We're excited to be back and look forward to many more conversations in the next few months here.
Are you feeling beleaguered, angry, or afraid, as if things are spinning out of control and you're powerless to stop them? It's easy to just let things slide and hope they don't get worse. But they often do get worse. The thing is, you're not powerless. Our courts belong to us, and their purpose is to give power to the powerless. Don't let your grievances pile up without redressing them. You can handle this in court. Or, if someone takes you to court, you can take them to school.